Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So, what are info providers, right? Info providers are the SAP BW specific objects which store
Mm.
the data inside them. Right? When we speak
Yep.
of data warehouse, we have to store the data somewhere, right? In SAP
Yep.
BW. So, info providers are the objects which store the data, right? And the granularity of the data would be the info objects, right? Whether it be
Yep.
characteristics, time characteristics, units, or the key figures, right?
Yeah.
All those info objects uh, are stored. Info objects are the collectors of the data, and they are stored in the data is stored in info
Info provide.
providers.
Yes.
Okay. And info provider is a generic term which is used for different types of info providers, just like for characteristics and
Mm.
key figures, we use info object as a generic term, right? So info
Yep.
providers is a generic term uh, uh, for different info providers which store data in them. Okay.
Mm.
Uh, Fine. So there are different types of info providers. The basic are the data store objects. Then we have info cubes. Then we have multi providers. Then we have info sets, right? Different types of info providers are there, out of which data store objects are the major or the central data store objects
Yep.
which have the data inside them, right? These are the primarily uh, what you call the object collectors,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
Or the majority of the info products that are used are data store objects.
Mm.
Okay. Now, in the earlier world, wherein SAP BW uh, 7.x was there before
Mm.
BW4 HANA or BW on HANA, there were classic data store objects, right? So now also there are data store objects in BW4 HANA, but we refer to them as data store objects advanced, DSO
Yep.
advanced, okay, or we call it as advanced DSO,
Okay.
ADSO,
Yep.
okay. And the earlier wherein the same data store object in the previous versions were called as data store objects classic. Okay, so we'll differentiate between these two data store objects, right? And we'll see what is the difference between them. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So what are info providers? Info providers are the BW objects that data is loaded into and which displays the views of data. Okay. And you analyze this data in Bex queries. So when you create your queries in the Bex query designer, and that Bex query designer is built on top of this info provider. Okay. Are you getting my point, or you are getting
Yeah.
confused, right?
Mm.
So Bex Query
Mm.
Designer is a new
Yeah.
terminology that I'm getting it, that I'm introducing
Yeah.
now. Bex Query Designer is a tool provided
Mm.
by SAP in which you design your Bex queries, and
Yeah.
then when the end user runs the Bex queries, he gets the report output.
Okay.
Okay, so the
Mm.
data is stored physically in the info providers,
Provider.
and
Yeah.
that is accessed via Bex
B.
query.
Yeah.
Bex queries. Okay.
Yeah.
Business Explorer is the full name, and we in
Yeah.
the short we call it as Bex queries.
Big
Business
square.
Explorer. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is how the info provider is used in the SAP BW world. Okay.
Mm.
Now this particular diagram refers to the older version of BW, which is SAP BW 7.x. It may be
Yeah.
7.3, 7.4, or 7.5, right?
Mm.
But this is the older, but then we'll also see how it is related to the newer version, right? So
Mm.
at the bottom you see any source, right? So it's SAP
Yeah.
or non-SAP source or any other BW system which provides the data to SAP BW, right? So this
Mm.
gray box at the bottom is SAP, any other source system, right?
Source.
Any
Yeah.
system which provides data to the BW is called source system.
Source.
Then
Mm.
in this up middle gray box, right? Middle
Mm.
gray box, this is SAP BW system, wherein you store the data over here in BW. So info provider is there, right, at
Mm.
the center of this gray
Center of
box,
the yeah.
right? So info providers are the central BW objects which stores the data in BW. Okay. And this data is fetched from this source system through an info package.
Mm.
Okay. Info package is another BW objects, right? which you, when you trigger or when you run that info package, it extracts the data from the
Mm-hmm.
source system and brings it into your BW system.
Okay.
Okay. And then between, so this data source or the PSA, that the persistent staging area, that is the initial area inside BW system where the data is first stored.
Okay.
Okay. And then you apply some transformations, that is your business logic, and then you store it into your info provider.
Mm.
Okay.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
again on top of it, if you have some specific, region specific transformation business rules that you apply on another on that info provider, and then the data is stored into another info provider. So right, so you can build info provider on top of data source, also you can build info provider on top of another info provider.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yep.
so what are the sources of info provider? It can be a data source, right? It can be a PSA or it can be another info provider.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just relate. You can relate to this, to the particular previous diagram which I showed you. Let me just take you to that.
Yep.
This is the new version. No, this one. Yeah. You see, this is the
Yep.
source right at the bottom, and this data acquisition layer, right? This is the PSA layer which I was showing in the previous diagram.
Yep.
So data acquisition, this is the initial layer, persistent staging area. That is called as persistent staging area.
Yep.
Now it is no more valid in the SAP BW for HANA world. Okay, it's only for the previous version. But then you need to know what is PSA. Okay,
Yep.
that's why I'm referring to this. So PSA is the initial staging area inside BW system which store the data. Okay, and then the data warehousing layer, right, which you see over here, that is the uh, so this box is this yellow, orange objects, right, which you see, these are
Yep.
the these are the data store objects or the info
Okay.
providers,
And providers. Yeah.
right? And then this BW query or BEX query, it is one and the same. So you have
Okay.
BW query built on top of this info providers, and then on top of it you have the analytical engine,
So
right, which
basically,
is
BW query was for the like earlier version, and BX query for the new version. Is it like that
Uh,
or?
no, it is not related to any version, but it is that terminology is interchangeable. You can
Okay.
use, you can call it BW query or BEX query. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
BEX
Yep.
query refers to the queries which are specifically designed in Business Explorer. The
Okay.
BW query, which it may not be designed over here in Business Explorer, it may be designed in business objects also.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the
Yep.
more generic terminology. Okay,
Okay.
you can also refer to recall this particular the LSA architecture diagram if I had showed you. So you now understand this, right?
Yep.
And then inside BW you have the data transfer process DTP.
Mm.
Okay, which is also an object which when you run that DTP, it fetches the data from the source system. Right. So earlier the info packages were used. Now info packages are no more used. It is only the data transfer process.
Okay.
Okay. So data transfer process are used to trigger the data or extract the data from the source system and store it into the info providers or the data marts. Okay.
Okay.
So different types of info providers, right? So info objects is also an info provider because it can store the data inside it, right? The
Mm.
attributes that we discuss about product group, right?
Mm.
Product subgroup, the price of the product, all those are attributes that can also be stored inside the info objects. So info objects are also the info providers.
Mm.
Okay. Then the next is the data store objects, as I said, right? The DSOs, the
Yeah.
classic DSO. And then, I mean, there are different types of data store objects, which standard right optimus data store object for direct ability. This we'll discuss when we go into that, okay?
Okay.
And then we have the data store objects for SAP BW for HANA, that is advanced DSO, right? There in the advanced DSO also we have four types of ADSOs: standard ADSO, staging ADSO, data mart ADSO,
Multiples.
and
Direct
direct
update.
update DSO. Okay, we'll see when we go over there what are these different types of ADSOs and why there is a difference and where to use which one. Okay. Then we had in the earlier world in SAP BW 7.x and 3.x world, we had info cubes.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
info cubes also store the data, and there are two types of info cubes. Standard. Now there are two types: standard, which is HANA optimized, and then the real-time capable info products. So real-time meaning you can write the data into the info cube, right? Well, through some user interface, and then you can build a BX queries on top of it. So real-time info cubes are used specifically for planning purposes, which is not which is out of scope for this training, right? So it's not even the SAP BW world, but in a SAP business planning and consolidation module, they used to have this real-time info cubes. Okay.
Okay.
Now in the SAP BW on HANA, the info cubes are still being used in SAP BW on HANA, but they are HANA optimized. And there
Okay.
are no info cubes in the BW for HANA world. Okay. So
Okay.
now they are deprecated. So if you're working on BW for HANA system, then you will not be able to create or see any info cubes.
Cubes.
It will all be the ADSOs. These four types of ADSOs will be there.
Okay.
Okay. So because whatever functionality InfoCubes were providing in the
Mm.
earlier version, now all those functionalities features are being enabled in this standard ADS. So I mean this
Okay.
ADSs, all four types of
Yeah.
ADSs. Okay. So the purpose of the and okay, now there is one more type called as in multi-providers. Okay, multi-providers or composite providers. So multi-providers or the composite providers are the uh, or even the info set are the
Yeah.
BW info providers which are based on other info providers. Okay, so
Yeah.
build multi-provider on top of DSO or info cubes. So they are based multi-providers or composite providers are based on the other info providers. Okay, and their purpose is to make a join or a union of the data from more than one provider.
Okay.
Okay, so you built one composite provider or one multi-provider on top of one ADSO and then one info cube, or maybe two ADSO, two info cube. How many number of multi-providers you want to make union or join? You can do it in multi-providers
Composite.
or composite providers. Okay,
Mm.
and these are virtual providers. So these multi-providers, composite provider do not have the data stored inside them. They just
Okay.
provide the unioning and the joining functionality. Okay,
Okay.
data will be stored either in InfoCube or in this DSOs or the
DSO.
info objects. Okay.
Okay.
The difference between data store objects and InfoCubes is DSOs are typically used to store the detailed data.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
The most granular data, when you say no, a particular sales order and then the sales
Mm.
order item, right? Inside that sales order, you might have multiple items inside it, right? So all the detailed data is stored in the data store objects, whereas the info cubes are used to store the aggregated data.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the difference between info cube and DSO.
DSO.
And in the BW for HANA world, these info cubes are deprecated, as I said,
Yeah.
and only these ADSOs are used.
Yeah.
Because now why they are deprecated? Because the main purpose of info cube was to increase the query performance. Okay,
Okay.
because when we store the aggregated data, it
Mm.
it it reads the query faster,
Okay.
right? But with the introduction of SAP HANA, which is a powerful engine or a powerful database, right? The query performance is already improved. So we don't need to store separately the data in info cubes. The query performance is already improved drastically by the help of advanced DSOs.
Advanced DSO.
Okay. There is info sets are also used are the another info providers which are used to make joining of data from the
Mm.
other data providers. Okay. Then we have some other virtual providers which are DTP based, BAPI, function module, and SAP HANA based. These are not much of a use on a very specific scenarios. These are getting used. Okay. For the
Yeah.
BW4 HANA training, we will focus on ADSOs.
ADS. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is a DSO? Now we'll go into detail. What is a data store object? Right. So the data store object can be used very differently in the data warehouse depending on the properties you select. Okay.
Yeah.
So data, what is a data store object? It is the central object for data storage and data consolidation in the SAP BW for HANA system. Okay. So you store the
Mm.
data and consolidate data in the data store object. So this is the central object in the BW for HANA system. Okay.
Mm.
So the depending on the properties that you select, it can be used for different purposes. Okay. It can contain both info objects as well as fields. Okay. So I know you will be a little bit confused when we say info objects and fields.
Objects.
So
Yeah.
basically, uh, when you relate this particular example or analogy which I gave you of a physical data warehouse and the bricks, right?
Yeah.
The bricks are data where
No
are
data info
info
objects.
objects, right? And
Yeah.
when you want to build a particular a small room within the data warehouse, that small room is your info provider,
Info provider. Yeah.
right? So uh, you need to collect the info objects and put it into the data store object,
Yeah.
right? So these are basically the walls of the data warehouse, right?
Okay.
You are building the walls with the help of the info objects, and
Info
then
objects.
inside the data warehouse, once your room is built, you store your goods, right?
Yeah.
You store your
It's
data. After this, data store object is constructed.
yeah.
Okay. And you can also, I mean, in the earlier world, this info object creation was mandatory. Now in BW4 HANA, SAP has introduced the new feature wherein you don't need to create info objects also. You can directly store the data from the fields. Fields,
Yeah.
you understand what is field?
The data source.
Not the data source, but say for example, you have a one particular table, right? And
Mm.
that table has 100 columns, 100 fields inside it,
Yeah.
right? The fields will be carrying the data,
Mm.
right? So
Yes.
and in beat so those fields will be on the table, and the table resides in the source system, right?
Yeah.
In BW, we used to create a corresponding info object for those fields in the earlier world. Okay.
Mm.
So each field in the source system would have a corresponding info object in the BW system. But now in the newer world, you don't need to create info object. You can directly store create the DSO on top of those fields, which is
Okay.
coming from the source system.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an additional feature, but however, info object is not deprecated. It has its own purpose. It has its own advantages of using it.
Okay.
Okay. Only when you do want to do quicker implementation, you want to do something, achieve something faster, or you want to do some POC, proof of concept thing, kind of a thing, and you don't want to go into creation of info objects initially, then
Objects.
you can even build the DSO based on the fields.
Fields.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you create the data store object, initially system will create three different tables. Okay. System will create three different tables. One is the inbound table, one is the active data table,
Yeah.
and the other one is the change
Change
log
log.
table. Okay. So by default, now these three different tables are created as soon as you create the data store object. Okay.
Mm.
Why there are three different tables? Because once initially when you load the data into data store object, the data is stored into this initial table, which is the inbound table. You also call it as an activation queue.
Okay.
Okay. Then when you activate that data, it goes, it is getting stored into the active data
Activity.
table.
Okay.
And whatever was change happened from the previous load until the new load, whatever changes has happened, that is getting stored in the change log
Change
table.
log.
So when once you load the data into this
Activation.
inbound queue or activation queue, then you need to activate the data. And when you activate the data, the change log will store the change log history, and the activated data will be stored in the
Active
active
data.
data. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so that is the structure of the data store object. Okay. Yeah, as I said, right, data store object consists of three transparent flat tables: activation queue or the inbound table, active data, and change
Change
log
log.
table that permits the detailed storage.
Yeah.
uh, Activation queue, it serves to save data store object data records that are to be updated but that
Updated.
have not been activated. So before
Okay.
you want to use, once you extracted the data from the source system, load it into the DSO,
Yes.
right, you cannot immediately use them in your reports. You have to
Okay.
activate that data.
Okay.
Okay. So once you activate the data, then the activation data will be moved from the activation queue or the inbound table, and it will be moved to the active data table.
Yeah.
Okay. So earlier, the table, the name of the table of the activation queue was like slash pic slash a. Then whatever name of your DSO is there, the technical name of the DSO, and then followed by 40.
Okay.
Now with the newer version of BW for HANA, this name is changed from this to slash BIC slash A DSO name and
One.
1. Okay. So
Yeah.
now you have this inbound table slash BIC slash A slash slash A, then ADSO name, and then 1. We'll see when we create this DSO how these tables are getting created. Okay. We'll
Okay.
also see this naming convention in the table.
Okay.
Then when you activate the data, it gets stored into the active data table. These tables are, remember, these tables are created not at the time of loading the data.
Yeah. After
These tables are created at the time of creating the data store
creating.
object.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you create this DSO, these three tables are already created. Now, when you
Okay.
load the data initially, it goes into the activation queue. When you activate the data from the inbound queue or activation queue, it goes into the active data table, and that table name will be slash BIC slash A, followed by ADSO name and then 2.
Mm.
Okay. So when you create a particular DSO with some technical name, and you want to see all those three tables, then you go to the transaction which is for the display table. You put this table name and you will find all these three tables.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there is some technical difference between these tables, but I do not want to confuse you at this point of time. We'll see when we reach there. Okay. Then there is, so this is the standard DSO.
Mm.
Then we have the right optimized DSO,
Yeah.
and then we have the DS for
DSFO.
direct
Direct.
update. Okay. Now, I do not want to go into the detail of this DSOs, but I'll introduce you to the few more terminologies which I said as I told is okay, is also very early for you. You understood what is source system now,
Yeah.
right? So whatever system we are connected to, which is providing the data to the SAP
System.
BI system, is called the source
Source.
system. Okay. Mm. Let me stop sharing. Let me see if I have some Excel file through which we can create some info objects and relevant info objects and in the system. Okay. Mm, missing those files from okay. I'm not getting that file right now, but let's see. Okay, let me show you what I want to create. Okay. You can see my Excel file.
Yeah.
I want to create an info object, right, to have all the information about the product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and these are the features of the or the attributes of the product info object,
Yeah.
right? So if I want to create this product group as an attribute of product, I need to create first the product group, right? So I will create one info object for product group, one info object for product family, one info object for product subgroup. Okay, we will not create too many. And to create an info object, what do I need to know initially? What is that info object about? Whether it is a characteristics or key figure or time characteristics or unit characteristics, right?
Yeah.
That's what I need to know. Then what would be it? uh, Data type,
Mm-hmm.
right? What would be the length of the info object, and whether it will contain master data, text, and hierarchy or not, right? Then whether it will be used as a navigational attribute or a display attribute. That is, I will explain you when we reach there, because don't get confused what is navigation, what is display attribute. Okay,
Yeah.
it is the feature of the attribute, how we want to use it. But just understand, this all things we require initially before we go on creating the info object, right? What
Right.
type of info object?
Mm-hmm.
Type of info object, data type of data. So you need to look at the data, what data it will store,
Yeah.
this objects, before you create the data type.
Yeah.
Then what is the length of the data that is getting stored, right? How much? Then whether it will contain master data, yes or no. This all you need to know before you decide what type of info objects I want to create and what all details I want to add to that info object. Okay, now For a, if I want to create a product group, then what should my technical, okay, here I will say what is the tech, what should I keep the technical name of the info object, because then we unit every object in the system is defined, is identified by a technical name.
Yeah.
Okay, and you cannot now store it like this product space group inside the system. You need to have identify that particular object in the system by some technical name.
Yeah.
Okay, and when
Mm,
you put this technical name, this is where that naming convention comes into picture, which I
okay.
explained you, right? If you remember,
Yeah.
you cannot create anything starting from zero.
Zero. Yeah. It need to be one to Z. Sorry, A to Z. Yeah.
Zero cannot be used to create any object. This is the namespace reserved by SAP. You can either create it from
A
A
to
to
Z.
Z,
Sorry.
or you can use some anything else. Okay,
Yeah.
some number. You also use starting with one underscore something like that. Okay,
Yeah.
and description you can put this product space group. This can be your description. That is
Yeah.
fine. Okay, description you can put anything, and then whether it has a description means short text or medium text or it will be long text, right? Depending on the, you select whether it has short, medium, long text. This you know what you call, the description field will have the length of it.
Yeah.
Okay, because you, there is also a certain limitation. You cannot have 100 characters of description. Okay, the description is
Yeah.
limited to, for short, if you enable short length, then it will have I think 20 characters. You can store 20 characters. If you enable medium length, then it is for 40, and then if you enable long text, then it will store up to 60 characters. Okay,
Yeah.
so now I want to create an info object called as product group. So my technical name, let me create a new tab over here. For so I want to create a info object called as product group. So what would be my technical name? Technical name would be, I would say, Z Z PRD underscore GRP, something like that. Okay.
Mm,
Now there is a limitation on how much long you can keep the technical name.
yeah.
This is between 1 to 9 characters.
Okay.
Right? So when I say ZPRD, that means 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
Underscore is 5. Then
Six,
GRP is
seven.
6, 7, 8. Okay,
Okay.
so this is okay. I system will not allow me to create an info object with the name Z product group. No, it cannot
Okay.
have this long name because it has
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Nine.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. 13
Okay.
characters. You can only, you have to name it technically only between 1 to 9 characters. Okay. I then either create ZPRDGP, or you can just name it as ZPRD, or you can call it as ZPG, right? Or you can call it as uh, 1 underscore PG, something like that, right? So these are the different technical, whatever combination you want to use for your ease of identification, for your ease of remembrance, you can create it in the system. Okay, so it has to be between 1 to 9 characters. Okay, so for example, I will take as ZPRD underscore GRP as my technical name of the info object Z product, or the product group. What will be the description? Description I will put it as product group. Okay, whether it will have, I will put it as long text. I will enable it as long text so that it allows me to store up to 60 characters, right? Although my requirement, if I look at my data, my requirement is only to store this one, pgf, pgu, pgf, right?
Yeah.
pgu and all those things. Then uh, what would be the type of info object? This is characteristics, right? We know this
Yeah.
is, it is not a key figure, it is not time characteristics, it is not a, yeah. So type of info object is characteristics, right? Then
Mm.
length I can decide based on the data that I'm storing, right? So it is only about 3 digits, right?
Yeah.
So I can put the length of around maybe 10. Even if I put 4, that is also okay.
Okay.
And whether it has master data, text, or hierarchy, I will say master data, yes. And then whether navigation, I'll say yes. Okay. With this basic information, let's now go into the system and create the info object. Okay. So I will log into the system. So this is our IP address, right?
Yeah.
183.1.220.123.4. Okay, this is okay. Username or password is incorrect. Okay. What is the user? You can see the logon screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the username? Hana3. Can you
Yeah.
check the WhatsApp group?
Yeah. It was Hana 3 and password is Hana at the rate 333. Let me check once. It's-
Hana@333.
Yeah. Let
That
me
was for
send
the
one
Hana
more.
system.
Where it
It is,
was.
it is right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are able to now log in. Right. So this was the T code, right?
Yeah.
RSC1, where we can go, say, for example, once we log on to the system, this is the, to open the GUI, and how you log on. Hana, and what was the password? You remember?
Hana. There was, I think, different. Hana at the rate 123 something.
I think there is over here.
Yeah. Hana at the rate
Hana at
123.
the 123. So when there are more than already sessions open, right? It will
Yeah.
say it is already some other user with the same user ID is open at some other location. So either you continue with this logon and any other logons in the system, or you continue with this logon without ending the other logon other logon session, or you
Yeah.
terminate this session.
Okay.
Okay? So I will say end the other session, which is okay. This is the first initial screen. Then I
Mm.
will go to RSA1. This is how I go into this modeling area. Okay. This is the modeling data warehouse workbench modeling.
Work well. Okay.
Right. Now, before we even create the uh, before you even create the object, I want to show you how this different things on the screen. How do I minimize this? Oh, no. Let's go. Because it is blocking my top view. Okay. Now I want let me. On the top you see this data warehouse workbench, edit, go to tools,
Y-
environment systems, settings and help,
System.
right?
Yeah.
Now what version of BW you are using? If you want to know, you go to the system, right? Go to the status.
Mm.
Remember, this is very important, okay? For
Yeah.
any SAP system. It's not only for
Okay.
BW. So whenever you want to see which system you are logged on to or which system you are working, what is the version, that you
Okay.
will be able to see once you click on system and
System.
then status,
Okay.
and then you see the product version over here, right? So this is SAP NetWeaver 7.5. Okay, so this 7.5, and what is the database that is used for this? It is HANA. HTB
Okay.
means HANA database. Okay, if it is an older BW system, right, and if it is the database is Oracle, it will show here as Oracle. Okay,
Yeah.
this is the license until which this SAP system is valid for.
Mm.
Okay. If you click on this component, right, inside this product version, when you click on this icon component, it show you the different components of SAP BW which are installed in the system, right? So SAP Basis is one of the component. SAP ABAP is one of the cross application component. If you see SAP BW, right, it is 750 means 7.5 on HANA.
Okay.
Okay. So that
Mm.
is technically no much difference between 7.5 on HANA and BW for HANA. Okay.
Okay.
Just little bit of some technical things that they have enabled in BW for HANA, but it's as good as BW for HANA only.
Okay.
So we are working right now on BW 7.5 on HANA.
Okay.
These are the installed software component versions, and these are the installed product component. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll close this now. If I want to now system, since this is a data warehouse system, any system would have tables inside it, right? Whether it be an
Yeah.
Oracle system or a BW system or SAP system, right?
Yeah.
So that it would have definitely the tables residing on that database, right? Whatever even data we store in SAP BW system, it gets stored in some or the other table, right? So how do I look into those tables? Okay.
Mm.
The question is, how do I look at
Yeah.
the table? So there is one transaction. This is called this particular window
Mm.
is a space for you to enter the transaction codes.
Okay.
Okay, transaction codes, we call it in short. We call it as T code. So there are
Okay.
certain T codes that, I mean, over a period of time when you use repeatedly, you will
Mm.
memorize them, right? For example,
Okay.
RSA1 is for data warehouse workbench modeling.
Mm.
Nowadays you don't even go to this particular screen. You always go to the HANA modeling studio,
Yeah.
right? But then this is also something that you need to know. RSA1,
Mm.
and then when you want to see the table, you enter SE11. Okay, if you want
SE
SE11,
to show to see the table. Yeah.
yeah, to see that. So you type SE11, press enter. Okay. It will not show because this is the session. You need to open another session. So when you type /nes/nse11, it will end this particular session and open SE11 in the another session.
Mm.
Okay. When you type slash O SE11, either you type it in uppercase or smaller case, that doesn't matter. When
Mm.
you type /OSE11, it will keep this session open and it will create this, it will display the table in the newer session. So it will open one more screen.
Okay.
Okay. When
Yeah.
I don't put SE and just put /O, then also it will open another session.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know why it has not opened, but you can create the sessions from here also.
Need to see.
Okay, this is new GUI window. If you click on that, you see you get another one more session. The earlier
Yeah.
session is already there.
Mm.
It is here, right?
Okay.
It has not ended,
Mm.
right? When I type slash n,
Mhm.
it
It's
will
ended.
end this particular session.
Yeah.
See, it has got
Mm.
ended, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So this particular is for going back. This is to
Yes.
go to the to exit this
Correct.
particular session. This is
Okay.
to cancel this particular session. Okay.
Okay.
And this is the help, and this is where you generate the shortcuts.
Shortcut.
Right. When you want to
Mm.
log off, you either you go to system and then log off.
Okay.
Okay, there is one more shortcut. When you want to, you just simply close the session, then also it will close, but sometimes it gets, I mean, it remains open even if you close it, right? So
Okay.
what you do, slash nx is end this session and also log off from the SAP, right? If I press enter, it ended the session, you see.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Let me go again in the system. Okay, so I'm into now SAP BW. I will enter now. Since I'm on the new screen, I don't need to slash put s slash. Even if I put slash n, that is also not a problem. It will
Mm.
take me to the same screen where this
Uh,
code should go. Allow me to. Okay,
yeah.
I'm putting this T code SC11 for table display.
Yeah.
So this is the initial screen which I get for table. You need to enter the table name over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see what table it should have. I'll put star. The star. And this is the box where I can, this is the F4 input help, right?
Okay.
So when I put star material star, it will, and I click over here, all the tables which are having this material as a name in the technical name are
Mm.
shown over here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say for example, any table, I can pick it any table. But I want to show you the relevant one. Say for example this one. Okay, this is the table. When I put the table name and click on display, it will show me this particular table structure. It is not showing me the table, mind well. This is the structure of the table. Okay,
Mm.
this is the structure of the table. It is showing me the field, what all fields this table will have, right? And what is the type of that field, whether this is a key field. You understand what is key field, right? Because you are a computer engineer, right?
Yeah.
What is key field, right? You understand,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So these are three key fields for this particular table, and these are the data fields. Okay, so what is the element, data element for this field? What is the data type of this
Type.
field, right?
Mm.
What is the length, what is the decimal, and what is the description of this field, right? So it has got around 10 fields. You see 1/10 over here.
Okay.
So there are 10 fields
Mm.
which construct the structure of this table.
Yeah.
Okay? And these are the data type, different data types of different fields and their lengths, corresponding lengths, and
Yeah.
their corresponding description.
Yeah.
Okay. When I want to see what data inside it has, either I click on this particular icon, content,
Content.
right?
Yeah.
Or I click SE16 in the T code, then also it will take me to this screen.
Hey.
Okay. So this particular T code SE16 or that content is used to display the data inside that table.
SE60. Yeah.
SE16.
Yeah.
But if I directly go to SE16, then I have to enter the table name. If I go
Okay.
from SE11 and then put into table name and then display content, it will directly take me to the screen of that particular table.
Yeah.
Okay. So even if I say table content, right? So it shows me the same screen. If you see,
Yeah.
right? So by default, it has the output. length of 250 characters, and maximum of 200 records will be initially displayed. By default, this is, you can change it. You can put it
Yeah.
999, right? So that it can display 1 lakh records, 99,000 records. How many number of records are there in this table? Zero.
Mm.
It does not have any data. It is empty.
Data.
It is empty table. If it had records, then when I click on execute, it would show me the data in the tabular form,
Mm.
in some table kind of a form. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can show you some data from some other table. You see, it has 1,889 entries. Okay.
Yeah.
But by default, if I don't change over here 200, then by default it will display only first 200 entries.
Okay.
I will click on execute, right? And it is showing me all, you see, entries are 200
200.
over here. And it is showing me all the content inside that table, right?
Yeah.
This is the, this blue color indicates these are the two key fields,
Yeah.
of this table, and these are the data fields, right? So it has all these fields inside this table, right? I show you the fields, right, in the initial screen when you saw that bi slash bsc
Yeah.
slash z,
Yeah.
right? So these are the different type of what is the data type of that particular field, what is the length, that we can go and see in the SE11 T code. Okay,
Mm.
this is how you look at the tables inside the
Tables.
SE11, SE16. There are now new T codes which has come up. There is not much a difference, but I still use the old T code because I'm more comfortable. UC slash SE11N. Different. Okay, SE11 does not exist because this is the 7.5 on HANA. Let me see,
Mm.
SE16N is there or not? Does not exist. Okay. These are SE11N and SE16N. These are the new T code that has come up. If you work on some BW for HANA system, you can use those T codes. There is not
Okay.
much of a difference, just some look and feel has changed, how we
Okay.
display the data. Now, let me come back to our original topic of creation of uh, info objects. Okay, I'll close all these sessions. I don't want the sessions to be open. Let me see if there is any already a product group created in the system. There are too many objects with the group. I will say product. Hmm. Even with the product, there are more than 200 objects.
Mm.
I can maximize this screen to see if it can work, but that's okay for now. We can look at this product category.
Yeah.
But this is a variable. These are variables. These are not the info object. Let's write something is zero product. Before we even create, I'll show the already in progress. Okay, so this is the info of zero product.
Mm.
Right? It is it in the in the bracket it is mentioned info of.
Info object.
Let us see what it has. Right. So when it is zero product, that means it has been
Mm.
created by SAP and delivered by
Yes.
SAP. Okay.
Mm.
I think I will take a separate session on what is BI content, where you will understand
Okay.
all these things. Okay. How do we install BI content and what are different features of BI content?
Okay.
Okay. So zero product. You see, this is the technical name,
Name.
right? If you see the length 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8,
It.
right?
Mm.
Description they have mentioned as product. What is the data type of this info object? It is characteristics, character
Mm.
string. Length is 5. Then it has the master data, it has the text, it does not have the hierarchy, it is usable as info provider. That means it you can use this info object as an info provider as well. You remember when I introduced info provider, I mentioned info objects can also be used as info provider,
Yeah.
right? So this is if you do not select this, if you do not select this checkbox,
Mm.
then you cannot use the this info object as an info provider.
Provider.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as a standard thumb rule, we do not change the any particular object which is delivered by SAP.
Okay.
Even if I want to say, for example, I want to put it as 6
Mm.
or 10, I will not do that, right?
Okay.
Because
Created by the B.
that is created by SAP, and that is a thumb rule that we do not create or change anything which is created by SAP.
Okay.
It will allow me. It
Mm.
does not throw any error.
Mm.
It will still allow me, but for the sake of integrity, for maintaining what SAP has delivered, this is the thumb rule and the practice across the industries in the organization, that we do not change anything
Okay.
delivered by SAP.
No.
Okay? Whatever is there, we keep it as it is. If we want to change something, then we create a copy object of this object and then we change it over there.
Okay. Yup.
Okay.
Mm.
So this is the initial screen, as I said. Then master data text, right? Whether it is short text, long text, medium text, yes. Whether
Mm.
the text is
L-
language dependent, time dependent. Okay, I
Mm.
forgot to mention one thing in our Excel. You need to have this clarity whether this is language dependent object or text is language dependent, then whether the info object is time dependent or not. Okay, this is something that we also need to consider. I guess you were able to see my Excel file also, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where we select these properties, okay, in the master data tab, and in the attribute tab we define the other navigational attributes that I said I will come to it later, right? So
Okay.
when we create zero product and then we want to have zero product group, subgroup, product family as it attribute, we enable them over here.
Okay.
Then this is something for settings for BI clients, index queries,
Mm.
and
The
properties.
runtime property.
Just a minute, just a minute. Okay. Ah, so these are the different things that we set on the info object, different tabs. Okay.
Yeah.
For example, this is our session, right? On our,
Yeah.
I will create. I will right click and say new,
New.
right? When I say new, either I can create a new project, file, folder, query,
Scale.
variable, composite provider, open ODS view, data store object, advanced, info object,
Mm.
info area, right? So I will say new info area.
Mm.
Okay. Now, when I I have to give some technical name. I will say ZIA for Viral. Okay. So
Mm.
this also has to be within the 9 characters.
9.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it
Yeah.
should allow me. For example, let me say Viral 1, 2, 3. Then it should not allow me. I can put anything in the description. I'll say finish. I'll say add to favorite so that it will come over here in the favorite step. Okay. I can easily access it. Right. So I will
Yeah.
say add to favorite. Oh, it has
Yeah.
created. Good. So there is no restriction of 9 characters over here. Okay. So you see now this is where it is, and if you expand this favorites, it will be displayed over here as well at the
Uh,
bottom of it, because everyone has put their things in the favorite, right?
favorite, yeah.
Right. Okay. Now let me go ahead and create one info object. I'll say right click new, or I can go over here, file,
Fine.
new, right? And this also will give me the same screen, right?
Okay.
But if I go over here, under
Mm.
which project you create, I don't know. So to be
Okay.
safer, I'll just right click over here because I want to create everything in this project.
Okay.
Right, I will say go new info object. Okay.
Mm.
So the first thing, this is the asterisk, means this is the mandatory field.
Mm. Yeah.
So it has to be belong to one particular info area.
Mm.
You cannot go ahead and create an info object without an info area.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will say Z IA star. If I do not remember what was my info area, I'll
Mm.
just say ZIA star.
Browse.
This star is not coming. System is slow. I'll say browse.
Mm.
Right. So whatever is created with ZIA, it will give
Mm.
me. I can go in this screen and select my info area.
Yeah.
I'll say
Okay.
OK. And then I'll say add to favorite because I want to put it into this favorite. I'll say what is the name of the info that we have decided in the Excel file, right? This one, it was zprd underscore grb.
Okay.
So zprd underscore grb. What is the, how many characters? 4 plus
9.
7 plus 1, 8, right?
Yeah.
Let me see whether it gives me error or not.
Mm.
zprd grp, I'd say group. Then how much it is now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
10.
7, and 3, 10, 10, right?
Yeah.
It should not allow me to create the info object. It should show the error.
Mm.
If I say what is the info object type that you need to mention, no? Whether it is a characteristics or a key figure, then it will
Mm.
tell to the system. Okay, depending
Okay.
on that, system will create the backend tables.
Okay.
Okay, when you click on info object type, right? This if you want to remember how many info object types are there, then you come to the screen, right? Theoretically, I have already explained you, but if you do not
Yeah.
recollect, when you go to the screen and you come to
Mm.
see how many types of info objects are there. Info object can be of characteristics, it can be key figure, it can be unit characteristics, right? And
Mm.
it can be
Done.
XXL info object. What is XXL info object? That I will explain later on.
Okay.
Okay. And then what is the data type? It is also either you can keep it characteristics or numc,
Mm.
which is a numerical text.
Mm.
Then dates, it can be in a date format and it can be in a
Time format.
time format, right?
Yeah.
So data type, when you want to store the data
Mm.
as uh, alphabetical as well as the A to Z characters, then you select characteristics. If you want to store data only as uh, numerical value, right, then you, if your data is if when you so before you create the info, you have to see what type of data it will contain. Based on
Mm.
that, you define the data type. Okay.
Yeah.
uh, Let me just go ahead and Google this one thing. See, because this is often confusing. So in SAP, character is general for character field for any text. So you can store alphabets, numbers, symbols in it, right?
Okay.
And if numc is specifically for sequencing of digits, acting like text, but
Yeah.
this is numbers only.
Yeah.
Okay. So here, when you see your data,